Hey everybody, this is Jimmy Song again. Sorry about the last video. I was trying to get Tone in with the streaming software I had set up, but I couldn't figure out a way to get him in. So we started again, and here is Tone Vays. He is obviously excited about the all-time high, aren't you, Tone?
I'm half excited. Okay, look, I'm excited about the all-time high because I'm a holder of Bitcoin, right? So I'm excited that I'm making money, but I've been on such a hot streak of calling every bottom and every top, and I missed this one. I missed the bottom by a little bit. So like it bothers me. Like I'm a perfectionist, especially when it comes to trading. And I kind of missed it. Like a lot of my followers, a lot of my clients, they caught it. They're still like thanking me for at least educating them to think for themselves, which is good. But not only did I miss it, like I haven't had a good entry. Like I'm one of these traders that I need a perfect entry if I'm going to make a trade, and I haven't seen one yet. Like I've even like, and some of them were even there, and I just I missed them. I didn't call them out in time. I mean, this was bound to happen sooner or later. But what we can do is we can look forward and look for better optimal trades.
So where do you think we go?
I don't know. It's impossible to say at this point, right? Because there's just monster irrational like exuberance right now on these two back-to-back days, and I'm looking at it from the perspective of, well, let's treat this like any normal asset. Now I know Bitcoin isn't just a normal asset, but from a perspective of a normal asset, it has to cool off at least a little bit for a day, for 2 days, and then you can start talking about rational, reasonable entries. All right, I think we have another addition to our little podcast right now.
Welcome, Pierre. You might want to put on your lower third, but Pierre is very good at sort of analyzing Bitcoin from many different angles. He's an accountant, and he's also a programmer, and he's an economist and all that stuff. Pierre, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey, Tone. Hey, Jimmy. How are you guys?
Hey, Pierre. I think we met once, right? We met up downtown Manhattan for a drink about a year ago.
That's correct. Yeah, and we had another friend there too, Victor.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, that was feels like a little while ago now.
It does, right?
Yeah,
you've been doing a good job on Twitter, man.
Thanks, appreciate it. I had one go viral yesterday that was thanking Satoshi Light for not calling Litecoin Bitcoin Light. So I guess complimenting altcoiners is what gets me viral tweets. I don't know how I feel about that.
He can always rebrand. That seems to be the popular thing these days with altcoins.
Yeah, well, Monero was originally BitMonero, so maybe,
right. And Dash already did it twice, and we talked about Mastercoin and Omni earlier today.
Oh God! Please don't remind me of that disaster. Anyway, what's your take on everything, Pierre? What do you think about the all-time high? How does it feel for you?
Well, it's kind of surprising in my mind. I thought that the uncertainty around SegWit2x and Bitcoin Cash would cause turmoil longer and kind of delay any sort of blowout top for Bitcoin, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So I'm surprised. I think, was it yesterday or today that SegWit2x would have happened?
It's actually tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's I think they're
according to Coinbase, they're still like waiting for it. Like I don't understand how a company be consistently wrong on everything that they do. like it's really impressive.
So I think that they're doing one thing right, which is leading us to this all-time high and to these surprising results, which is that I believe Brian Armstrong has a Medium post out advertising their new product about being a custodian.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that may have something to do with it, because consensus invest is coming up, and that's like the #1 issue on every hedge fund's mind, isn't that?
Yeah. So in the blog post, he says that there's 100 new crypto hedge funds coming out, and there's at least $10 billion on the sidelines. So if you're a trader out there, you probably don't want to get in the way of that. So I think that's why we're seeing this all-time high.
Wow, that would be impressive. $10 billion. How would that affect the price, Tone?
I don't believe those numbers. I just don't, right? Like, what is that? I mean, they have no details on that. Look, guys, in reality, like a hedge fund, they're not going to tell you what the hell they're doing, first of all. Second of all, you don't know if they're going to hold the Bitcoin or they're going to trade the futures. Well, that are cash settled, right? I don't like hedge funds. To me, hedge funds is like the order book. Like you can't trust it
because people might be faking it or something like that.
Well, right, because the advantage you have is to fake for other people to see what you're doing. It's like playing poker.
That's true, but the bottom line is that we're getting more poker players around the table if they have access to services like an institutional custodian, who they're required to have for any asset. So I think that rolling this product out is just inherently bullish for the price, no matter what the exact number is for money on the sidelines. And
I mean, they got to have at least one customer in line, right, Tone?
No, well, that's the thing. There's no customers in line with the hedge fund, right? I mean, they just invest on behalf of their clients, so it's their call on what they're doing. And it's articles like that, right? Like okay, look, so I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, especially the gold believers. Like, the money isn't made manipulating gold to the upside. The money is made hyping up gold so they can sell it to you at the top, right? So if all of these articles are coming out about how the hedge funds are dying to get in, and everyone is buying on the speculation of them getting in, the money is going to be made selling. Like they only care about making more US dollars. That's their job. That's in their prospectus.
So, I mean, we've been getting this hype repeatedly over the past years. People like Barry Silbert saying that the institutional money is waiting to come in. And, we were hearing that like during the bear market to $300 that, this year was the year of Wall Street.
Right. No, I mean, I remember Barry saying it when Bitcoin was $800 the first time, not the second time, the first time, right? I was in the audience. And he was saying how $800 should be the floor. Now, look, I don't fault anyone for. I mean, that's fine. You can think that.
Yeah.
But, you're right. Like, there's always institutional money, and the best way to prop up the price is to keep saying it's about to get in. It's about to get in, but there's no metric, right? Like, how do you know if it's getting in or not? Like, nobody knows.
In that sense, it reminds me of like every other meme we have during a bubble, like, whether it was Cyprus with the first bubble in 2013 or China with the second one, Willy bot, etc. Like there's always a narrative around it. But then at the end of the day, it was just that there were a lot of buyers and then you ran out of buyers and the price crashed.
Right. Exactly what happens. You run out of buyers. A lot of people misunderstand how a flash crash happens. Everyone wants to blame someone with a fat finger. I thought it was atrocious when they eventually arrested some guy for having the flash crash in May of 2010, where the Dow fell like $1,000. I mean, that's bullshit. I mean, that's not how markets work. That's just not how markets work. Like a flash crash happens when there just happens to be no buyers, and then there's no bid, and then someone decides to sell, and someone else decides to sell. It's a natural phenomenon. All right, looks like we got another joinee.
All right, Mr. Jeffrey Jones, or the One Vortex. Welcome to the show. What are you making of all of the new all-time highs that we're making?
I think it's absolutely amazing, especially since myself and Tone and everybody else was totally expecting a correction. I mean, yeah, we corrected down to the 55, but I mean, as Tone said, I'm not happy with that. I really was hoping for something around 5, and now we've just exploded on all this amazing news. I mean, the futures is still going huge, and then now this the news about the Square, and then just 2 seconds ago, the Lightning Lab just announced that they did the first cross-atomic swap on Lightning network between Bitcoin and Litecoin. So I'm just ecstatic. This is just an amazing time.
So I'm gonna be the skeptic again. I have no idea why it's all that important. Like I don't think Litecoin is going to exist. Like I really,
Well, it's not who cares about Litecoin. The fact that it was on chain.
I know. I like the fact that it was on, but like everyone's like going crazy over these atomic swaps, and I'm like, okay.
But this is on Lightning though. Lightning.
Waste
Lightning,
of programming
so
effort,
there's no
cool.
fees really, and you can use the same Lightning network for all kinds of other stuff.
Tone, this is the birth of a decentralized exchange. This is the birth of the decentralized exchange. We're going to look back and be like, okay, this right here, this was the beginning of the decentralized exchange. We're going to look back on this and see that.
That would be interesting. All right, so I did want to show a couple of things. There's a new website for Bitcoin 2x. It's called Bitcoin 2M, such a original name.
Jesus Christ, hard forks are coming out of the woodworks, man.
No. It's the same hard fork as the 2x hard fork. It's just that it says Independent Day of Bitcoin 2x.
They could have at least changed the stock pictures that you get when you buy a website.
Yeah, it's funny because it says today, November 16, 2017, is the day of Bitcoin 2x Independent Day. Obviously, somebody needs a copywriter. Bitcoin 2x is created by the New York. Okay, so yeah, please go get a copy editor, whoever made this website. I can't read this without sounding like I have broken English. But it does look like they are planning on some sort of change mining algo to GPU mining, dynamic difficulty adjust every 2 blocks, 2 megabytes plus SegWit, two-way replay attack protection. Miners will donate the first minted 200,000 Bitcoin 2x to team after forked. 100,000 will be time locked by 3 years, released before next halving. 100,000 will be unlocked. Fork height 494784. Dev volunteers wanted. All will be paid by Bitcoin 2x bounty. Project name is Bitcoin X BTX. So this is apparently, well, I don't know exactly if it's like a hard fork that's supposed to happen at the exact same time as 2x or something completely different. But the fact that they have a website, I guess, legitimatizes it. I don't know, but people are going to be asking about this. What the hell is this Bitcoin 2M, Jimmy? I don't know. I literally heard about this like 30 minutes ago. So what do you guys think of the new turn of events regarding 2x here?
I just can't. I mean, there's so many of these freaking forks. There's going to be a bunch more, and it's going to be really hard to keep track of them in the near future. Similar to how there was once an ICO a week, then it went to a day, and then it went to an hour. So I think this is going to be something that is going to be huge, especially seeing these huge prices that were pumped with Bitcoin Cash. That really opens up, I think, a lot of people's imagination to what they can do, the amount of money they can make with a Bitcoin fork.
I'm hoping that the amount of money they can make becomes less and less, and there's diminishing marginal returns on doing these. But my fear is that that won't be the case, and they're just going to keep airdropping because it's such a convenient way of launching their pumping up.
Yeah, indeed it is. It's kind of sad, actually. Tone, any thoughts on this?
No. I mean, no, I mean, I took a look at B Gold today, Bitcoin Gold, and it's under 2% of the price of Bitcoin. So it's not really worth it for me to look into separating my coins. So I'll wait. I mean, if it pumps like the Bcash pumped, I'll do it then. Same thing. I mean, now someone is talking about if you have Bitcoin, you can also get your Bitcoin Cash Classic or whatever the hell it is. So now it looks like they're gonna fork both chains at the same time. I have no idea what's going on anymore. I've just been, I don't know, a little bit busy. And if we go back to the charts, I do want to show something else that was brought to my attention significantly late because again, even I don't even have time to be in my own chat groups, which is where it was actually talked about.
Okay, so let's take a look at some of the charting. Tone, you wanna pull up your stuff?
I'll pull up mine. All right, so here's the thing. I mean, what can I say? So there were technical signs to buy this dip at 5,400. Now, just because I missed it, it doesn't mean that technical analysis missed it. Okay. So on the daily chart, the only thing a person can point to is the fact that it bounced off the 50-day moving average. And the 50-day moving average is pretty critical, and it has been very critical in the past. So some people might have done that, okay? Now, I love the fact that people are pointing out how wrong I was on the bottom. Even though I called the top at 7,500, we fell over $2,000 for like, what, a 33% correction? And I missed the bottom by 400 on Bitfinex, and I heard as little as $200 on other exchanges. Yet I was wrong, but that's fine. I mean, that's your opinion. Now, I will say that I missed the buying opportunity, which is also fine, right? Because you can buy back in at any moment, and you haven't really lost much, assuming you exited at the right time. See, what happens is people exit too late, and then they get screwed. If you exit on time, then you have plenty of time to buy back in. Now, as far as buying back in, so the daily chart, some people were able to catch the 50-day moving average. That's fine. I was expecting it to go lower. Now, the 4-hour chart is where things get interesting. Now, you guys know I love this indicator, and I love to see my nines.
TD.
Right? But here's the thing. I was looking at my 4-hour chart on Bitfinex, but not everybody does. And I did not have time to look across other exchanges. But here's what someone pointed out to me, because they were able to buy the low pretty well, is that on, sorry, I was looking at Bitstamp. On Bitfinex, those that use the 4-hour chart had a slightly different number.
Oh, there's your 9. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And usually I can catch this even on other exchanges, because usually when I get a color flip, just one color flip, I just look, because I know that this became a green color because the close of this candle is compared to the close of this candle four candles earlier. And if they are within a little margin of error, I treat this as one single wave of momentum. So had I mean, it was just like random chance that I was looking at Bitfinex on the 4-hour chart and not Bitstamp, because I'm kind of using them interchangeably. And this is one of the problems with trying to predict Bitcoin. You don't have a single pricing point. Now, maybe if I wasn't so busy replying to 1,000 trolls on Twitter, which is my fault, right? I mean, it is my fault. I mean, if I'm getting distracted, it's my fault. But also, everyone is like on my ass about Bitcoin Cash, and even even CBS was like writing articles about how wrong I was. So there's lots of distractions going on because I'm, again, doing too many things. I'm trying to be, I guess I'm playing reporter, and I'm trying to provide commentary. But my number one thing I'm supposed to do is not drop the ball on technicals on Bitcoin. And this was me dropping the ball, because normally I would have spotted this one and I would have been like, whoa, this is within margin of error. Let me look at what's happening on other exchanges. Maybe this is an actual 9 with a potential reversal, right? Like, had I seen this and I didn't see it, I would have at the least called for a 1 to 4 candle correction and then reevaluate. And that's the thing. And when you have when you're calling for a 1 to 4 candle correction and then reevaluate, that already puts you in a bullish trade, at least temporarily. And then the reevaluation allows you to add to it, or to at least take some profit. But basically, had I not dropped the ball and noticed this, I would have been, and then I would have taken this triangle more seriously as well. Like, because when I was looking at this area, I was focused on this being a 3 and a 4, looking for that 9 a couple of candles later. So yeah, this is what happens. And somebody pointed this out to me just yesterday. Like I'm sure other people tried, but I just like missed their text messages or whatever. But yeah, so I'm sure people in my group chats and those that are very familiar with trading this indicator, I'm sure some of them would have noticed that on other exchanges, there were metrics to at least be somewhat skeptical or somewhat optimistic. I'm not saying I would have still done it, but there were things there that I clearly missed, but some people didn't miss, right? And this is also a lesson that I can't be the oracle. Like, I'm more here to teach you what technicals are, and it's up to you to decide if they work or don't work, and it's up to you to decide to use them or not. But waiting for me to tell you is like the worst way to trade. Like the worst way to trade. You are better off flipping a coin.
Tone, why is there software that automates this? Like, I don't understand why this couldn't be put into like a system.
Yeah, I mean,
well, what do you mean?
That's what Tone does. He has code for it on TradingView, and you can
there is. I can't.
But to automate the comparison between the different exchanges to see if there are discrepancies like what you just described.
But there'll always be discrepancies, right? I mean, that code will be perpetually showing you discrepancies. I honestly, I think I'm looking forward to the CME futures to come out, because the CME futures would be settled on a Bitcoin pricing index maintained by the CME. Now, I have no idea who on the CME team is responsible for maintaining that index, but I'm expecting them to be very, very competent in what they're doing. And whatever index they are using, I really hope it's adopted by TradingView.
Yeah.
The index that the CME uses to settle their futures on, because that's real money. So they're going to take it seriously. Okay?
They named a bunch of big exchanges, I believe, right, that they were going to base their index off of?
Correct.
Yeah.
But I would need to either see that formula, or hopefully their index could be integrated into TradingView. Now, they have two indices, actually. They have one that's only going to be announced at the time of settle. So it'll be a daily 1 point a day. Then they have another one that's going to be actual live index. So whatever index the CME is going to use, that's going to be the index that I'm going to be using. So I hope that TradingView puts it in, because that would be my real-time index. Now, the unfortunate thing about that index is because it's not going to have much of a history.
And also, did it have like a closing time? Because Bitcoin normally trades 24/7.
Right. It's worse than that, Jimmy. Not only do they have a closing time, they have a 1 hour break in futures trading every day, and they're not trading on the weekends, right? So if you hold the contract through the weekend, you can get totally screwed.
At least with Bitcoin, definitely, yeah.
Well, right. Well, it's the same thing for gold, but those currencies close on the weekends also. But Bitcoin continues to trade. See, that's the thing, right? Like when gold futures close for an hour in the afternoon, there's actually no gold trading going on, like in the price discovery mechanism, right? So see, here's the difference, right? This is what people don't understand about the CME futures on Bitcoin. Because it's only cash settled, the futures aren't really doing any cash discovery, right? They're not. The Bitcoin exchanges are doing price discovery, not cash discovery, price discovery. The Bitcoin exchanges are doing price discovery. The CME futures are just going to let people exchange dollars based on price discovery. That's not what happens in gold. In gold, the CME futures are actually doing price discovery. This is why, I think it's kind of bullshit, but this is why people are accusing all of these, naked short sellers of gold futures to manipulate the price of Bitcoin, because they kind of can, because the futures are actually doing price discovery. In Bitcoin, the futures are not doing price discovery. Now, having said that, the price discovery for the S&P 500 is the trading of the 500 stocks inside the S&P 500, and then they get aggregated into the S&P 500. So the Bitcoin futures are very, very similar to the futures on the S&P 500. But here's the big difference. When the stock market is closed, which is between 4 p.m. and 9:30 in the morning, plus holidays, plus the weekend, the futures are actually doing price discovery. Well, not on the holidays and not on the weekends, but at night, right? Like this is why during the Trump election, the futures crashed, but then happened to recover by morning, but they didn't have to recover by morning. So the futures market, even though it's cash settled, is actually doing price discovery, but because the market is closed. In Bitcoin, that's not going to happen because the Bitcoin markets don't close. So the Bitcoin market, the exchanges will continue to do price discovery while there isn't a way to trade futures. This is the big difference between the cash settled S&P 500 futures and Bitcoin, because in the S&P 500 world, there is never a second in the world where the stocks are trading, but the futures aren't. But in Bitcoin, that will happen.
All right. Well, so that's definitely contributing to the price. If you're just joining us, we're looking at sort of the all-time high that's happening. We are currently at 78.40 around there on Bitstamp. We did hit 79.76 a little bit earlier this hour. Yeah, we have some other stories here. How much do you think the Square Cash story contributed to this all-time high, guys?
I think barely.
Go ahead, Tone.
I think barely. I don't think it was that big of a driver.
So I think that maybe in the short term that's right, Tone, for sure. But I mean, this could have huge implications if every single Square user now has access to purchasing Bitcoin.
I actually haven't seen one. All I heard was, I mean, every Bitcoin, every Square user that I've seen on Twitter said they don't have the ability to buy Bitcoin. Like I haven't actually seen one that did it.
Well, that's interesting. So yeah, because I've heard. I mean, that's what the story was. Is that anybody who has the Square app can actually now purchase Bitcoin, and I thought I saw people on Twitter actually purchasing it.
Yeah, so they're rolling it out, but they're not rolling it out to everyone at once.
Oh, okay.
It's so you know, like with Twitter,
just like with everything.
Some people had 280 characters for a while before they rolled it out to everyone.
Oh yeah, I finally got that. By the way, I think everybody hates it.
Yeah,
like,
everybody got it.
There was actual tweets. It's like, okay, so the one person that shouldn't have this is Tone. I'm like, yeah, you're right, because I'm gonna max them out every freaking tweet.
Yeah, the worst part is, it just makes the advertisements longer, which is probably the purpose of it. Is there are probably advertisers complaining, hey, we can't fit all of our content into a single tweet. So, what can you do?
So, Tone, you really don't think then? What about midterm implications, Tone, of this Square Cash app? Let's say it gets all rolled out early next year. Like, what do you think this will do for Bitcoin or the price next year?
Can we just clarify? So,
okay.
Bitcoin Square Cash. Okay, so I mean, from what I know about BitSquare, and I've never used it, right? It's an app that lets you use a credit card, and then you have a balance on the app, right?
Square, not BitSquare. BitSquare is the decentralized exchange. Yeah,
sure, Square. So you have the Square app. You're now allowed to accept credit card payments. Someone pays with a credit card. Does that money stay in the app like with PayPal, or does it immediately go to your bank account?
So I believe you can choose either.
Okay, so like PayPal.
Yep, just like PayPal. You can stay there or just have it immediately fed to you.
Right. So now you can just use that money that's in the app to buy Bitcoin, and I have no idea where they source it, and I have no idea what their percentage is on the purchase. And now
Tone, you can unshare your screen.
You have to unshare your screen, but you have to assume it's competitive, Tone, right?
No, it's fine. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm trying to make it clear that we're talking about the same thing. So where do they hold the Bitcoin? Like let's say you have $100 in cash on your Square app, and you go to buy Bitcoin. Did Square app just become a Bitcoin wallet, or are they utilizing a Bitcoin bank?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's a Coinbase type of thing or if it's just a wallet on your phone.
Yeah, it's a direct competitor to Coinbase, and so they don't have the ability to withdraw Bitcoins yet. So you can only buy and sell them, on this little sandboxed area. but you got to think about what the long-term roadmap is for that as they iterate on the next versions and come out with new features. And they are definitely positioning themselves where basically the Square, what we understand as Square about the credit card payment processing, is separate from this different product called Square Cash, which is pretty funny because of Bitcoin Cash and all that's going on with that. But yeah, their product is called Square Cash, or just Cash. And so users have things called cash tags, which, you know, is like from Twitter hashtags. So right now, right, you just only have the ability to buy and sell Bitcoins. I'm sure that they're going to come out first, like they're going to come out with other currencies, I would imagine, other cryptos. But also they're going to be adding on features. And I imagine at some point it would be like Green Address, where like you have your keys locally if they're smart. I hope they don't go the route of holding everyone's private keys.
No, they're going to have to. They'll have to.
Well, the thing is, if they do that, then they're going to start owing all these hard fork things. And, you know.
Right. I mean, but they're.
Well, Tone, think about this. They all this Square Cash thing is for iDevices, right? iPads and phones and things like that. They are for mobile devices. So that means that that's the perfect place to have a wallet, right? You can have a wallet because Apple devices and stuff is relatively secure. So you have your wallet on there for temporary purposes. And then you got to imagine that they're going to allow to be able to take payments with Bitcoin at some point, right? That's got to be the next logical step for implementing Bitcoin into a payment processing workflow.
That's fine. They can do that. Oh, accepting Bitcoin. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So I'm trying to find a good way to explain. So they're a pretty successful company, right? So if and they know way more about holding other people's money than Coinbase does. You know, I mean, because they're already successful, even if it's a spin-off of Square, right? Square Cash. So do they want to get into the Bitcoin wallet game like Green Address and Airbits, the game that has almost no revenue, right? I mean, Green Address is being maintained by one core developer, basically. It's still probably the most secure wallet because he's a core developer, and he's funded by the people in Milan who are, you know, early Bitcoiners. They have an incubator, right? Airbits, I mean, they're oh man, I mean, they already rebranded. I mean, I still don't know how they're going to be making money, but so
don't forget about the fees, Tone, that they'll be making from buying and selling, right? And then presumably from eventually taking Bitcoin, they'll be.
I understand that, right? But the fees that they're taking from buying and selling, I mean, this is the same thing that Coinbase is running into. Like, if you're going to make a wallet that lets people have control of their keys, I mean, that it has to be done by like someone that believes in decentralization, someone that believes in like open source projects, right? I mean, I don't see a company like Square doing that, right? Because there's no money in that.
Okay, what about acquiring Bitcoin, Tone? What about fees in Bitcoin and like acquiring Bitcoin when they see the price of Bitcoin going up?
I mean, they could do that, but I mean, regardless, I think the point stands that, you know, there is money to be made on exchanges because they are very profitable right now. But that said, Square is big enough that this might not even be a blip on their radar.
And this is the thing, right? Square is big enough. But the legal consequences if they screw up is going to hit the parent company, which is why I don't think their lawyers are that dumb.
Well, they got to be testing the water. I think this is just testing the waters, you know, for what's to come.
Well, I mean, nobody seems to have it anyway, so I'll believe it when I see it. I know they said that they have it, but who knows? It's probably in the hands of like 7 people or something like that.
Right.
All of them, they're developers or something.
Right. Now, the most logical thing for them to do is to simply, you know, continue being a payment processor, like accept Bitcoin for payments, even though a few people will use it. Right. Now, they can allow people to like purchase it, but I just don't see them. I mean, their business is in traditional money. And the business of traditional money is being responsible for other people's money. So I just don't see them breaking that mold and going into this, you know, oh, you are responsible for your own money thing, right? Because it takes a certain person to want to do that, and they're mostly open source projects.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so if you're just joining us, we're discussing the all-time high. We are currently at 7777 on Bitstamp, or was just a minute ago. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to thank the 723 viewers. I think this has been a good discussion. Yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow, and hopefully I can figure out how to do this dual streaming thing. But I want to give everyone a chance to give their last word. Pierre, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on, Jimmy.
Yeah, no
Hope
problem.
to have you on our new podcast I've got with Michael Goldstein called Noted. Look forward to having all three of you guys on at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Tone?
No, very cool. Thanks for hitting me up a second ago and asking me to jump in. I might go. I've been trying to do a traditional market show all day, but I've just been being distracted by this whole Bitcoin thing the whole time. And I guess I need to throw a little plug in here, even though it's almost sold out. Yeah, so I'm gonna be in Toronto in December, and I'm doing a trading class, learning how to trade. Not a room where Tone tells you what to do, but a room where Tone teaches you trading tools, so you can actually catch things that I might potentially miss. So the next one, or first one, I guess, is in Toronto, and that would be December 9th. It's only 20 max people, and 10 spots have already been taken. Okay, and it's for 0.1 Bitcoin, and it will be between 4 and 7 hours. I know I'm still figuring out, what room to rent and for how long to rent it, but yeah. So if you're interested in learning technical analysis and trading techniques, and you're in Toronto on December 9th, hit me up. There is directions on how to reach me on the bottom of this page under trading seminars.
All right, thank you, Tone. Vortex?
Yeah, thanks again, Jimmy, for having me on here. It was a great discussion, a great little chat. These all-time highs definitely have everybody excited. I know that I'm definitely pumped. I see 5-digit Bitcoin very, very soon. And yeah, Pierre, I would love to freaking be on your podcast, man. Hit me up. We'll have
Awesome.
a good discussion. We'll have a good discussion on there. I definitely have had you on my show a bunch of times, and everybody loves it. So we'll have to have you on again soon. And then, yeah, my show, the Bitcoin News Show, will be here this Sunday, of course, live at 12 p.m. Pacific. We have Andrew DeSantis on this Sunday, so it should be an interesting show. Always interesting talking to that guy. He doesn't really get a chance to come on the podcast very often. In fact, he's only been on a couple times, and every time has been very, very, very interesting. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I think my audience is as well. So thanks again, Jimmy, for having me on.
Yeah, and I love all this cross promotion. I want all of your shows to do well. I believe the pie is getting bigger, and I would love to continue doing that. Anyway,
people are asking for your Twitter.
Oh, at Pierre_Rochard, ROCHARD.
Yeah, he's a very good follow. He says a lot of interesting things and comes from a very interesting perspective. I'm very Bitcoin maximalist. I'm sure you guys know all about that. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. And this song is done.